couple weeks ago, Nintendo finally released the first look trailer of the Nintendo Switch 2. And a lot of people weren't excited about this. And that's because late last year, a bunch of leaks had showed off a 3D render of the Nintendo Switch 2, and this trailer just pretty much confirmed what we were seeing already. That being said, I still think there's quite a bit to be excited about because even though this trailer did show off how the Nintendo Switch 2 will look and a couple of other things, there's still quite a bit that we don't know about. So in today's video, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about this trailer that we did see, this showing off the Nintendo Switch 2, as well as we're gonna also talk about some leaks that I think are kind of confirmed with this trailer. So let's go ahead and dive right in to the Nintendo Switch 2. The Nintendo Switch 2 trailer starts off with showing us a transformation from the old Nintendo Switch to the Nintendo Switch 2. Now personally, I wish they showed off the transformation between the Switch OLED to the Switch 2, but we got this, so we're gonna have to work with this. We start off by seeing the screen get bigger and the whole form factor just getting bigger overall. Now this might confirm some of the rumors of it having an 8-inch display, but we'll have to wait to see until we get that concrete size of the display. Me personally, I do think that rumor does check out, and we are getting an 8-inch display on this new Nintendo Switch 2. The next thing we see is an extra USB-C port on the top, which is kind of interesting. It does have me wondering, what will this USB-C port do? A lot of people are thinking it's just for charging. Me personally, I don't think it would be just for charging. It's got to be something more. Nintendo is not really known for just making things easier to basically just for charging or for basic stuff. When they usually put ports on their devices, there's usually a reason behind that. It's not just an extra of the same port they already have on there. There was a patent that showed off a second display being able to attach to a console, and a lot of people were speculating that this USB-C port might be for some future accessories that Nintendo will release for the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, me personally, I think that's a great idea. Nintendo's known for innovating and adding things to their current hardware, such as microphones, with the GameCube or things like that. So I would like to see what they will do with this USB-C port on the top of the Nintendo Switch 2. It's got me very interested, and if it's a second display, I'm all for it. It would make it a lot easier to play both DS, 3DS games, and also Wii U games on there if you want to use that second screen. We then see a look at the new kickstand design, which personally, as of right now, I'm not a fan of that. I really like the way the OLED kickstand looked. It was similar to the Surface Pro kickstand. It was very sturdy. I really liked that look. This, while it doesn't look as flimsy as the original Nintendo Switch's kickstand, it still doesn't look as durable as the Switch OLED kickstand. This is one of those things that we'll have to wait and see how it functions in real life, and hopefully they kind of learn from the OG Nintendo Switch, learn that a cheap kickstand is not the way to go. It needs something more solid. One thing I did want to point out is, while this is just speculation on my part, judging by the trailer, it does look like the Switch 2 would use a more, premium materials when it comes to the build. Hopefully a more premium plastic, similar to what was used in the Switch OLED versus what was used in the original Nintendo Switch. The original Nintendo Switch had some cheap plastic that would usually break if you dropped it, where the Switch OLED seemed to be a little bit more durable and more premium feeling. So I am hoping they are going with that more premium feel this time around. We then move on to the Joy-Cons. Similar to the Nintendo Switch transformation to the Nintendo Switch 2, we do see the transformations from the old Joy-Cons to the new Joy-Cons, starting off with them getting bigger and a little bit more rounded. We also do see that extra button that is on the right Joy-Con that we still have yet to see what it is. Previous renders and leaks have showed that there was a C on that button, but in this trailer, we do not see the C on the button at all. I am thinking that maybe Nintendo is hiding it in this trailer because they didn't want people to kind of guess at what exactly that is, even though we're still going to be guessing what that button does anyways. They just didn't want to put it there. Me personally, I do think that in the official release and when we see it in April, we are definitely going to see exactly what this C button does, and it probably will have the C on that button. There's a bunch of speculation on what this button will do. Some people think that the C stands for casting. This will allow you to cast your Switch's display to the dock so you can have a second screen, which I think sounds cool. It's just, can it really do it just as good? I don't know, because all the processing is actually done in the Nintendo Switch. Unlike the Wii U, where all the processing was done on the console itself, I don't think that would be a good idea, but hey, who knows? Maybe Nintendo figured it out somehow. The other thing is, a lot of people were speculating that the C button is just an extra capture button, which makes no sense because we do have the capture button still on the left side. So it's one of those things that we'll have to wait and see and find out what this button actually does. The other thing I wanted to point out on the transformation of Joy-Cons, you can kind of see that the thumbstick takes on a different look. It feels like it's going to be a little bit bigger. Not only that, a bigger, I guess, groove or dip on the Joy-Con itself. This would allow you for a better grip when using the thumbstick on the Joy-Cons. Now, me personally, when it came to the original Joy-Cons, I did not really like the feel of the Joy-Cons. Yes, they were small compared to normal thumbsticks, but the other thing is they were very slippery. Because of that, my finger would typically, slide off, and I would have to like reposition my thumbs every time. But in this case, it looks like there's a bigger groove there for a better grip overall, which I do really like. A lot of controllers like the DualSense have been doing this, as well as a lot of third-party controllers that I use with my Switch. They've been doing this bigger groove to give you a better grip overall. So I am glad that Nintendo is looking to do the same thing with the new Joy-Cons. From there, we get the splash of color with the Joy-Cons showing a blue and red accent mirroring the neon Joy-Cons from the original Nintendo Switch, which look pretty nice. Me personally, I do like that they are black with red and blue. Now there is rumor that there will be another SKU that would be white with red and blue as well. Me personally, I probably will go with the white ones over the black one because all my stuff is white, but we'll wait and see it to actually see how that actually looks, because when I think about it, I think white with their neon red and neon blue accent doesn't look as good, but let's wait and see. If the Joy-Con buttons actually have color on the ABXY buttons, I would 100% go for the white one for sure. Now, when we slow down this trailer, you can kind of take a look at the side of where the Joy-Cons will actually connect to the Switch 2 and see that the SL and SR buttons are a little bit bigger, making it easier to go ahead and press, as well as on the edges. These are what I'm assuming are actually just magnets that help attach to the Switch 2, but they kind of look like buttons. I think they're just magnets, they're not actually buttons. We also do take a look at what is believed to be the optical sensor on the Joy-Cons. Later on, we will see that these Joy-Cons could be almost what it looks like to be used as a mouse. I also wanted to mention that in this scene where we see the buttons being pressed and the thumbstick moving around, I do feel that this is important. I think this is trying to show off, and Nintendo's trying to tell us that the face buttons will be using a different mechanism, possibly Hall effect buttons and Hall effect thumbsticks, or mechanical buttons with Hall effect thumbsticks. There was a rumor saying that Nintendo had learned their lesson with Joy-Con drift, and the new Joy-Cons will come with Hall effect thumbsticks. Me personally, if they come with Hall effect thumbsticks, that is a huge win. All of my third-party controllers that I use with the Nintendo Switch have Hall effect thumbsticks, and honestly, they're 100% worth it. They feel so much better than your typical thumbsticks, and of course, the biggest thing about these Hall effect thumbsticks is that you won't have to worry about drift. We do know that the original Joy-Cons had Joy-Con drift, and yeah, I will tell you this, it was very, very common. This is something that you can be very careful with your Joy-Cons, and they will eventually get drift. I will say this, out of my 5 Joy-Con sets, 3 of them had Joy-Con drift. The other 2 I purchased after the OLED was made, and from there it seemed that they had learned their lesson, and I haven't had Joy-Con drift with those. The next scene is, of course, the Joy-Cons being used as what seems to be a mouse. They go docked in to the extra attachment that the normal Switch Joy-Cons had, except that these are hollow on the inside, making it so they raise up a little bit. I would assume making it easier to go ahead and slide around on a table. And like I mentioned earlier, we did see that what looks to be an optical sensor. So this is showing off a mouse. At least that's what we're all assuming. I mean, honestly speaking, I think that this is 100% facts. This definitely looks like a mouse kind of sliding across a table or desk or whatever the case might be. This is a very interesting feature because it makes me wonder why Nintendo would put a mouse feature on the Switch 2. Because honestly speaking, outside of games like Splatoon, I don't really know what else they would use it for. Other game developers would have to go ahead and enable mouse usage for the Switch 2, but would that be unfair to the other consoles? Just to give you an example, if you play a game like Marvel Rivals and you play on PC, then competitively you can only play with other PC players. Part of that's to do between the differences of using mouse and keyboard versus controller, where most people on console only use controller. If we move this over to the Switch 2, will that give you a better compatibility, meaning that you can actually play with mouse and keyboard on Nintendo Switch 2 and PC? I don't think that's going to be the case. We'll have to wait and see on exactly what is Nintendo planning to do with the Switch Joy-Con 2s. I guess I just made that up. With the Switch 2's Joy-Cons, there we go, is mouse feature, or if this is even a mouse feature. Maybe it's something else that we don't know about. Me personally though, I do think it is a mouse. The final scene that we see here is of course the Switch 2 being docked in a new docking station. And this actually looks a little bit interesting because what we can see, it's more curved and it's showing off a little bit more of the display. Be interesting to see what they will do with this. Is this extra, let's say, I don't know, maybe inch of a display that we're seeing, will it be used for other things, maybe to show the time or some other stats, or is it just aesthetics, I guess, reason? We don't know exactly on why this is the case. If it's just for designs, then I guess cool, but it'll be kind of neat to see if Nintendo will utilize this part of the display for any reason whatsoever. We do not see any of the ports on this new docking station though, so that we do have to wait and see on exactly what ports this docking station will have. And of course, we see a glimpse on what looks to be Mario Kart 9 or a brand new Mario Kart, which there is a lot of speculation on this. A lot of people have seen that what looks to be 24 racers are allowed to be on this map, but of course, we don't know anything about this. All this information will come April 2nd, where we will finally get a first deep dive on the Switch 2 and everything it brings. So that's the trailer bit of it. But now, what about the new rumors and leaks, or rather some of the other rumors and leaks that's been going on with this system? So let's go ahead and start talking about the overall specs. I did mention that the screen does look to be 8 inches when compared to the old Nintendo Switch, which was, I believe, a 6.2 inch display. That would give you almost 2 inches more in terms of real estate to be able to view, which I think is a pretty good size. The other thing that's been rumored is that the display itself will be 1080p up from 720p. This is kind of interesting because you are gaining a lot more resolution, but it makes you wonder, will we be getting that much more power? To put it into perspective, something like the Steam Deck, which is a lot more powerful when you compare it to the OG Nintendo Switch or even the Switch OLED, is only 800p. Yes, only 800p. So if you're gonna up it to 1080p, I would hope that you're gonna have a lot more power when it comes to this system. Because if you're just gonna be putting 720p games or below on a 1080p display, it's not gonna really look as good. We already see that issue with the current Nintendo Switch, where a lot of games that are played in portable mode are around 500p or even lower than that, which is not a good look on that display. You can really see the difference in the pixelation when it comes to those things. But let's hope that the processor in there is a lot more powerful. Of course, rumor has it that the processor in the new Nintendo Switch will be somewhere around the PS4 Pro in terms of performance. Again, something we'll have to wait and see. If it's around the PS4 Pro, that's going to put it almost neck to neck with the Steam Deck. Of course, if you add in like DLSS and frame generation into this, this will give it a little bit more and will help out the Switch 2 in a lot of ways. Speaking of specs and performance, this is supposed to have 12 gigs of RAM versus the 4 gigs of RAM that the OG Nintendo Switch had. That would be a huge bump because it's more than double. You're looking at triple the amount of RAM when you compare it to the OG Nintendo Switch. This will help out a lot and also will make sense because if you're using a lot of DLSS and frame generation, VRAM will be very important. So we'll have to wait and see on how that's all going to play out when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2. The other thing that has my hopes up is because of the extra VRAM, or rather the extra RAM we are getting with the Nintendo Switch 2, it makes me wonder if we will have a more fully fledged OS versus what we got in the OG Switch. If you remember, the whole reason that the Switch kind of was able to utilize and get to where it was at in terms of performance, it was because the OS was bare bones. And they did that on purpose because they wanted to make sure that DRAM was 100% utilized just for the games and nothing else. Me personally, I want themes, I want music, I want all of that to be in the background, and I do hope that we get a better looking OS. While a lot of people might not care about that stuff, I personally do. I mean, come on, how much nostalgia do you have with the Wii Shop channel or any of the Wii menu music or Wii U menu music or 3DS or DSi music? All of that music is so iconic that if you go through YouTube Shorts or TikToks, a lot of the music are from those consoles. So yes, Nintendo, bring back themes, bring back music. We want it all. Also, come on, man, it's extra money. We're gonna throw money at you just to have a Tears of the Kingdom theme or a Mario theme. I mean, I bought a bunch of themes on my 3DS, so yes, just take it all. There's another leak that I wanted to mention, and at the time of this recording, I can't seem to find where I heard this leak. I was looking through all my notes and can't seem to find it. Maybe and hopefully I'll have some type of screenshot or something when I'm showing this off. But one of the leaks was also saying that the amount of storage that the Switch 2 will have will start off at 256 gigabytes of storage, which would hopefully be enough. I mean, it's kind of hard to say because if we're going to have games like Call of Duty Black Ops on the Switch 2, 256 gigabytes is not going to be enough. That's really just going to be Call of Duty by itself, and that's it. Luckily, it is going to be able to take micro SD cards like the OG Nintendo Switch, at least according to the leaks. And of course, that's assumption. I would assume that it would take micro SD cards, because if not, you'll be kind of SOL when it comes to storage. But adding micro SD cards, this will give you a lot more storage, where you'll be able to take up to 2 terabytes or even more when it comes to storage. Now, this is going to be very interesting because as far as we know, Nintendo's not doing any type of compression, similar to what PlayStation has going on with the Kraken compression system that they have going on, even though, honestly speaking, they don't compress their games really, or if they are, I don't know why they're still like 100 gigabytes. But anyways, for what we know, yes, you're going to need a lot of storage when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2. So if that was you, I would probably start buying 2 terabyte micro SD cards before they go up in price. Now, there's a lot of other rumors and leaks out there, but I'm not really going to go into those. These are the ones that I feel are more concrete and legit, and I feel that all of this is actually going to come to the Nintendo Switch 2. Honestly, I am very excited for the Switch 2, and I'm going to continue and cover it. I can't wait for April 2nd to finally get that deep dive in the Switch 2 and see what we have going on with the Switch 2 in terms of the software, like the OS system, and all the hardware features it's going to have. I'm not expecting it to be groundbreaking like the Switch was, but to be a lot of improvements that I wanted with a Switch OLED or even a Switch Pro, because I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that a lot of us just want a more powerful Switch. The Switch itself, I feel, was, I don't know, I guess a perfect design, minus ergonomics. The ergonomics is definitely be a lot better. But outside of that, it was a perfect design, and there's not much you really need to change. You just need to make it better, make it stronger. Similar to how smartphones are now, where it's just kind of the same thing, except a little bit better. This could be, rather than a little bit better, a lot better. 8 years better, if at that. Maybe even more and beyond that. That would be nice to see. One last thing I did want to mention, though, was games. There was a bunch of leaks, and Nate the Hate, who is the guy who said when the Switch 2 trailer was going to drop, he had stated that there's quite a few games that are going to be announced for the Switch 2. Some of them were looking like Halo is going to be coming to the Switch 2, as well as Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, with Remake coming out this year and Rebirth coming out sometime in 2026. This has got me very excited. We do know that some developers were able to see Final Fantasy VII Remake running on the Switch. It looks like it ran perfectly fine and ran at PS4 Pro levels or above that. So this got me very excited. There's some other rumors that Elden Ring is going to be coming, as well as a bunch of other games. And this is one of those things that we'll have to wait and see. A lot of Ubisoft games such as Assassin's Creed Origins and Assassin's Creed Shadows are also supposed to show up. We do know that Ubisoft pretty much is always there at every console launch, so we can expect games like that for sure. But I am excited to see what the Switch 2 is going to bring to the table, and yeah, I just can't wait. Anyways, what are your thoughts on the Switch 2 trailer? What do you think about all of this? Do you believe a lot of these rumors and leaks all these speculations, or do you feel that, none of this is real? Me personally, like I mentioned, everything I mentioned in this video, I do think it's 100% legit, and I do think that we will hear about this on April 2nd when we do get that Switch 2 deep dive. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Also follow me over on Twitch. I do a podcast every Sunday where I usually talk about any Nintendo Switch 2 rumors or leaks that are going on that week, as well as stream every Thursday and Friday. You can also catch a video every week where I just pretty much upload a lot of different handhelds. I am trying to focus a little bit more on software and of course a lot more Nintendo Switch 2 stuff as we move on and get into the Nintendo Switch 2 launch. So definitely subscribe over here so you can take a look at all that stuff. Thanks for watching once again. My name is James. I'll catch you guys next time.